notice that all, and I think you mentioned this a while back, and it's true. A lot of the new games require like a 1200 and like a boatload of RAM, and if you have like a 040 or something, then you're laughing. If you've got like if you've got a vampire, then you can play the super whammadine version of it. We've played a lot of good games for the OCS, ECS. How about some of that action? There's a lot more people that stuff that's got a vampire.
I think it's a lot harder to program within the OCS, ECS parameters.
Well, but isn't that part of what people like about programming for old machines? That there's a closed garden there you have to work within. The Atari 2600 gets all kinds of.
Well, that's because the Atari 2600 doesn't have any memory expansions. It doesn't have accelerators.
Right, but you've got everything. If you just focus on like the 1000, you've got 256K or 256 meg, and you've got the OCS chipset. I mean, that's a much firmer soil that's much more fertile soil than, say, programming something for like the Spectrum, for example. You know what I mean? It seems like there would be.
Well, I don't think that's true at all. There were a heck of a lot more Spectrum sold than Amiga 1000s.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it'd be less difficult to work within the boundaries of that. Those are pretty good boundaries, as opposed to, say, the 2600, where you got got practically nothing to work with.
Right. I see what you're saying.
That's where I'm going. Hey, Dunk. Hey, UK. So I don't know. I kind of wish I could program so I could just actually, instead of just talking like a big fat blowhard, I could actually get in there and do something.
I kind of wish I could program so I could get a job that makes $100,000 a year.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. I'm talking about just in terms of old gaming stuff. How much more money do you need, Bo? My God. You're the wealthiest man. Look at this. It's like, look, you got a mansion.
It is. It's
sports
a
cars,
mansion.
Boats.
I could hardly
everything.
Could hardly get in my door. I had all those Lambos.
I saw you your yacht that you putted around the coast on.
Yes, it is a massive.
I was like, look at this guy. Got a hot tub, got everything.
I think that was what they based the film Love Boat off the sailboat that I was piloting.
Now you're thinking to tug the tugboat.
I'm gonna adjust the scene sequence. I think that it's a little bit too. It's switching too quickly.
I think you should just put loads of Vaseline on the cameras to give it that dreamy look, like they used to do in the old days.
Did they ever actually do that?
Oh yeah.
I always hear people talk about that, but I didn't know if that was.
Yeah, man, that's exactly what they used to do. Oh, Threepwood's Thrifts. Hey, is that a real thing? Like, do you have a store? I'd go there.
That's Deckard Threepwood.
I know who it is.
Discord thing.
But it's Threepwood's Thrifts. That'd be fun to have one of those, like a computer and old game resale shop. It'd be hard.
Think about all the fun that guy had in Texas.
Yeah, but he was in business for. That's a whole different ball of wax, too. I mean, let's keep it. I'm just saying.
If I was
like that, but part of me thinks I would hate it.
Yeah.
Also, I'd hate going out of business because I live in West Virginia.
Yeah, and the fact that everybody buys everything on eBay.
Yeah, not everybody. Some of them still dwell in the realm of going out to the store. Hey, I got my Radio Shack gamepad at the Hillbilly Flea Market, for example. I got a lot of stuff at the flea market there. I like the flea. There's nothing more fun than going to a flea market that is going to have some old retro stuff stuck in it. Unfortunately, the flea market prices are gone, replaced with eBay prices, but still, at least you get to actually the tactile pleasure of touching the item you can't afford.
That's true. I need to. I'm going to adjust these a little bit.
You're like a boy with a new toy.
I am.
You just love you got.
That was my AOL screen.
This is like I feel like we're up on the news.
We are.
Should I turn to camera one? In other news, boat went sailing over the weekend. Boat, how did it go?
Well, let me tell you about my sailing trip this weekend.
Mm-hmm. And where was it again?
This was over at Beach Fork.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So my buddy, his name is Bob. He's got a couple boats. Mm-hmm. He's what you call a wheeler and dealer. I don't know if you know anybody like that.
I do indeed. You got to be like that. You got to hustle, man.
And so he's got a Sunfish, which is a small single-person sailboat, and then he's got a sailing dinghy. I know one of your favorite words. Is
that the official name?
That's what it's called. It's actually called the Precision 15.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a fancy way of saying dinghy.
Right, and that can hold about 3 adults, or a couple adults and a couple kids. So there's a big difference sailing a Sunfish and sailing a Precision 15.
All right.
The Sunfish, the sail is already on the mast. It's already on the boom. All you have to do is unroll it, stick it in the hole, put the boat in the water, and go. The Precision 15 requires approximately 15 miles of rope to rig all the different sails. It's got a foresail. It's got the mast. You're dealing with the low jack. It's out of control.
Now, which one is the little one again?
The little one's the Sunfish.
So the Sunfish, you like that one more then, right?
Well, it definitely has its advantages.
Because I remember thinking, I was like, look at that. It looks like you just pulled it out of the trunk.
Yeah.
Set it out there.
Right. And so, I got the Sunfish ready, and I was like, hey, you want some help with this stuff? And he's like, no, I got it. Just go ahead and get in the water. Yeah. So I got in the water. I'm puttering around. It was a light wind day, so there wasn't too much sailing going on, but I got up and back a couple times. And I keep looking over at the shore, and he's still there, rigging and rigging. So about 45 minutes, I'm like, well, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to go on in, see how he's doing. So I sail on in, and he's like, I'm just about ready to launch, okay? So we back the trailer down, into the thing. You've seen video of this, or I'm sure maybe you've seen it where you have to back your truck into the water.
Yeah, almost in the water. Yeah.
And so the boat comes off. I'm holding onto the boat. He pulls. Then he comes back out and he's like, all right, we need to turn this thing around. And we turn it around. He gets in the boat, and the wind picks up. It carries the sail. He starts drifting back towards the rocks.
Oh, okay.
So then he's like, well, I'm going to fire up the outboard because it's got a little trolling motor.
Yeah.
He fires up the outboard. The propeller flies off the end, sinks into the bottom of the lake. Then he crashes into the rocks. We're off. It's the fun of sailing.
So we've learned a lesson here, haven't we? I've learned 2 lessons just from hearing this story. Number 1, sail the little one. And number 2, why are you sailing around when you've got a motor hooked to the boat?
Right. So, ideally, the way that it works is the trolling motor kind of gets you out away from the dock, then you open up the sail and you take off.
Yeah.
Well, we accidentally opened up the sail before we left the dock, and that was why we got pushed, because wind is powerful.
Now, had Bob ever been in this boat before?
Bob, yeah. I mean, Bob he's been sailing for a while.
One would wonder why he made such a grievous error.
Well, I think that he was eager to go after spending an hour getting this thing ready.
And why did the propeller fly off the motor?
It just broke.
So he boned on that.
Yeah.
So did he end up taking this thing on the water?
So the dock has 2 piers that sort of come out.
Yeah.
And so we got them all lined up again. We tried to launch again. There was just not enough wind for him to get away. Because once you get away from the dock out in the middle of the lake, there's more wind. So he sailed from one side to the other, and he's like, all right, we're done. And then an hour, taking everything down, back in the boat.
Now, as you were sitting watching him take this stuff down and look at his face, how much of the want to own your own sailboat left you at that moment?
I will say that this was a...
Because that sounds like a boat moment to me right there.
the scales fell from my eyes, and I saw the reality of the situation.
Because remember when you had all that boat stuff piled in a big pile that you bought?
Yep.
And then at some point...
I forgot you saw it. It was only in my house for one day.
The boat, that's when you looked at it, and then the boat look took over. Like, wait a minute. I got to do what with all that? And you sent it back.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that you would be enamored by the fully assembled, ready-to-go boat. You were in it. You were boating.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you saw what he was up to,
right.
and you knew that this was going to be you on your leisure days.
Right. I think that I would hold off on buying a large boat like that until I could afford to keep it at the marina full time. So whenever I wanted to sail it, just step off the dock into my slip and take off.
What makes a boat, that huge boat with all that rig, more fun than the little boat?
Well, not much really. The small boat, it's more the bigger boat is more comfortable.
Sure.
I mean, the bigger boat can hold more people. But other than that, you can have a heck of a lot of fun on a little Sunfish, for sure.
Let's just pretend you have the big boat.
Okay.
It's all rigged up.
Right.
Who would you take out on his boat
Well,
with
that's another thing.
Now, I'm not saying you don't have any buddies.
Right.
But, I mean, I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
And I've been on a sailboat. Mm-hmm. And so you can be darn sure that, now you might get Chad to go.
Yeah.
He's pretty adventurous.
Yeah.
But he's a big love.
You don't think Wilcox would dive in? You don't think he's of the sailing breed?
I don't. I think good Matt might go. Mm-hmm. You know, there are people that would go maybe, but these aren't, what are they going to do out there? They don't know what the hell they're doing. They could get hit with the gimmick.
You know, that particular size of boat, it would be pretty, it would be a limited use case. I think if I was going to get a bigger boat, I'd have to go like one with the cabin in it, one with the cushion seats.
And that's going to cost a bundle.
Well, you can get them real cheap, but they're cost a bundle to maintain. Most of the times when you get them real cheap, just like, lots of things, they have got lots of problems.
I saw, I can always see what videos you've been looking at.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw a bunch of videos, and one of them I was like, well, something effective. Buying a boat is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. My partner's got a boat.
Oh, does he?
It's a fishing boat.
Okay.
And I've known him for years and years. And I think in the 5 or 6 years I've known him, he's taken it out maybe twice. And he hasn't even gotten it ready to go for the past couple of years. Now he's going to try it again this year. But he's often told me the second you buy a boat, the value of it goes into the garbage. And then you're an idiot. That's pretty much what he says. If he likes to fish, so he's got one. So, if it makes you happy, man. But at least you had enough common sense to go out, experience the sailboat. Now, when you were sailing up and down the water, did it do it for you?
Oh, I had lots of fun.
Now, is that the kind of fun you want to have every week, every month, or maybe once a year?
Well, that's another thing. It's like, how many times would I have to sail this thing in order to feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of it?
And when you were sailing it, did you feel like you had a pretty good command over it?
Yeah. I feel like I'm ready for some stronger winds. I did enjoy it. I wish that there was a way, if you could rent a sunfish around here for maybe, $75 or $100 for a day.
Yeah.
I feel like I would do that a lot.
I think I would go out there to beach for you rent me one of them paddle boats. Actually, my mom and dad own a paddle boat.
You've told me that.
And that way, then you just plug a sailor on top of it if you get tired. You can just put a motor on it.
Just put a motor on it, motor away. I hear you, chat. I can fix this here.
What's the problem?
We're getting some digital noise here. It's because I've got myself zoomed in.
Whoa!
Too far. Don't worry about. Don't
never look directly into his eyes.
Don't be alarmed. What we need to do?
I would get do you have some sort of shot from the blimp? Get long distance shot. We should put the camera and mount it upstairs, and I would see. Now, look at that.
That looks better.
Picture looks good.
Yeah. Does that look better, guys?
Hey, Edwin. I'll never get used to it.
I wonder if we should play the fade.
What's that do?
So we go here.
Like the jumper.
Instead of doing the cut, the fast cut, and maybe it'll kick on at a later date, or maybe I have to do it for each one. It's a new thing.
So fancy.
I just discovered this. This is what we're going to use to stream the computer club meeting tomorrow. I'm going to set up 3 cameras in various places around the room. I want to set up the Yeti mic so it can pick up all the sound in the room.
That worked pretty good at the thing.
Yeah, and then we're just going to let it go. The one thing I wish that I could do is get the output from. Check this out. I've got the arcade machine feeding to the arcade machine monitor and the TV, we can watch.
I got that too.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, man.
Oh no, I mean
I'm trying to brag, and you're all, yeah, I got that.
No, but you've got it going to both screens so you can watch somebody play.
Right.
That's a good idea.
Right.
I'm not poo-pooing it.
You're poo-pooing it. I can see it in your eyes. But anyway, we can do that until people get tired, and then we can hook up. If you bring the PlayStation Classic, we can fire that up and have some fun.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll do something. Your powered hub. I need a powered hub. There, it worked that time.
Good. All right. Look at all this garbage on the table.
Yeah, that's the problem with having a camera that points every direction. They can see all the, but it's not just.
You're seeing
before,
behind
it's
the scenes.
like we look like we're playing the improv or something. Now it's like there's the full gimmick. They can see the Atari over here.
That's true in all its glory in the monster joystick. All right, so I think we're ready. So again, there is no news this week. In place of the news, we can talk about your deal.
Okay. Well, there's that one news. I'll talk
Okay,
about.
you can talk
It's
about
very
that.
brief. I just want to mention that. I haven't got to hear the show yet. So. I think it'll be glorious. Very fancy. Fancy and pantsy. Oh, you waiting on me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Let me just
I gotta wait till it cycles back around anyway.
bing my bang here and zoop my zank. Okay, hear that.
Yeah, this is actually the default. I'm not zoomed in here on the thing.
Ooh, Vega. Isn't that thing garbage? I kind of want one, but I mean, they look great, but they're garbage.
Yeah.
Although it did ship. You gotta give. I mean, it shipped to a few people. I'd be mad about that, to be completely honest with you. But
All right. You ready?
yeah, I mean, I'm ready.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Woody's World. Now, who are the famous Woodies that you know in your life?
Well, you got Woody Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of the old Woody Allen movies, the old ones. Not a huge fan of the guy, but I like the movies.
What's your favorite Woody Allen film?
Manhattan Murder Mystery. Although Annie Hall is tremendous. Gosh, he's got so many good ones. Everything You Know About Sex, But We're Afraid to Ask is good. Pretty much almost all of his own Bananas is great. I like all of his older stuff. I really do. In fact, I like everything up to like Mighty Aphrodite. That was a pretty good flick.
I'm a big fan of Manhattan. I like that one.
Manhattan?
It's in black and white. It's where he falls in love with like the 17-year-old girl.
Oh, see.
It's a good film. It was a different time.
Yeah, it was. You got Woody in the Toy Story guy named Woody.
Yeah.
And then a shout out to a recently deceased local indie wrestler named Woody Numbers, who was around forever.
Was he the guy that had the GoFundMe campaign he set up?
He passed away. Yeah, but he did finally. And also, just off the subject, but a handsome Harley Race passed away yesterday. 8-time NWA. Have you ever heard of him for real?
Oh yeah.
8-time NWA World Champion, and had a great head of hair, big afro, and chops to beat the band. He was an awesome worker and one of the legitimate bad dudes in wrestling.
Where would he be on the? Okay.
He is almost on the Mount.
I was going to say,
He's
who's
like
on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
He'd be like, if they had maybe 2 or 3 more spots, he'd be there. He's in the top 10, certainly. He's a big deal and was well respected dude. And one of the last, he went to Japan and decided to drop the NWA World Title to Giant Baba and just did it. He didn't tell the NWA.
Really?
And everyone never like, okay, because no one would screw with Harley. He was tough and he drew money. So happy trails to him. But you got what about what? You got any Woodies you can think of? I think I named some there.
Got a 34 wagon and they call it a Woody. Surf City, here we come.
No, I don't. I'm not,
You're not a big Jan and Dean fan, I guess.
No, I don't hate them, but no, I can't think of. Woody's the name you don't hear that much. Woody Woodpecker. I guess we should.
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, that's right. So there's more than
I don't know who Woody Harrelson is though. I mean,
Yes,
I know he's
you
an
do.
actor.
You ever watch Cheers?
Is he?
He was
what's his name? Chet.
No, his name was. I think his name was. I don't know what his name was.
He was the bartender, though,
That's
right?
right, yeah.
Okay.
It may have been Woody. I don't remember. You ever seen Zombieland? That's a great movie, and the sequel's going to come out, and he was in that.
Is that the one with the Hot Fuzz guys?
No.
Did the zombie movie, or was that Hot Fuzz?
No, that was a whole different zombie movie you're thinking of. He was in those. What's that stupid thing with the chick with the bow and arrow? Everybody loves. He was in those.
Yeah, Hunger
He's
Games.
been in everything. He's been in tons of stuff. He was in. Did you ever see his bowling movie? He was in Kingpins. That was a good flick.
We were talking about sports movies that I've never seen, and we were talking about golf movies, and I haven't seen Kingpin either.
Kingpin's good. It's funny, but yeah, there's a Woody now and again, but not too many of them out there. That's all I got.
I think we've exhausted our pre-show banter.
I should have wrote down a bunch of words beforehand. I didn't realize it was going to come up.
Where does Woody Woodpecker stack with you on the in the?
I used to watch Woody Woodpecker, but in the old days, a lot of the cartoon guys were jerks.
Yeah.
That's like Bugs Bunny. I love Bugs Bunny.
Big jerk.
But I mean, he was a jerk.
Yeah.
Like he antagonized suckers.
Ain't I a stinker?
And
I believe
God
he said.
forbid you anger him in any way, because he will torture you. And Woody Woodpecker was sort of the same way. Like they took no crap.
What about the new adventures of Woody Woodpecker from the 90s?
I don't do any of those.
On Fox Kids.
It's amazing that they brought him back.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that, really, what's he going to do? He's got the laugh. He'll peck you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he will.
Yeah, that's about it.
Well, Aaron, let's talk about what's been going on in the world of Amiga news.
Not much.
Not much has been going on.
We really only got 2 items this week. I just wanted to touch base for Amiga fans like us. The Retro Hour has quite a lineup this week. I haven't got to listen to this shit because I just noticed it today. It just came out yesterday, I think. Episode 184. Of course, our buddies are the 2 fellows at Retro Hour, Dan and Robbie, and they have an interview here with Sean Southern. Now, this guy, a luminary in the field of Amiga. Among the things he worked on was a Lotus Turbo Challenge, Supercars, Kickstart. He's done a lot of good stuff, so I'm sure that's tremendous. They always do. They get big names on there, and they do a lot of very good interviews. We should also just briefly touch on our good buddy, the Dream Ketchup boat. He's got a keyboard surgically attached to his HINE. Because this guy's he's a typing an article and video making machine. And he went bananas. We're just going to briefly touch on some of the stuff he did. It's crazy time with the DK. So just coming out, I believe this just came out not too long ago. And I don't think we touched on this, but maybe we did. It's right in that wheelhouse. Did we talk about his game Fuzzball that he put out? Fuzzball is a game I've heard of this game, but I've never played it. It's a kind of a nutty little game, kind of puzzly. He takes a good look at that little number. He's got a bunch of stuff up here. It's just so too much. I haven't got to read the biggest chunk of this stuff. So he also did an article here on Zombie. Now I believe that was part of the
Joe the Zombie Hour
Joe
Power.
the Zombie Hour Power. It's funny how often that comes up. The zombie, because we played every conceivable. In fact, it's going to come up again later. By the way, I'm just going to tell you that right now. And we played Zombie. And
what's the name of the guy that it was George Romero that was the creator of Zombies?
He didn't create Zombies. He created a movie about
Didn't he
zombie.
trademark the word zombie?
I don't know that. I've never heard that.
That's what I always thought.
Because zombies were around way before him.
Were they?
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, I remember Bela Lugosi was in a zombie movie back in the day. It was called White Zombie.
Really?
That's where the name of the band came from.
Oh,
yeah.
I always thought that Night of the Living Dead, that was the first time anybody had ever uttered the word zombie.
No, sir. Anyway, Zombie. It's funny. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the screenshots of this, and I have a vague that the Zombie Hour of Power came. It was the Amigathon Hour of Suffering.
This has kind of got a Maniac Mansion look to it because you've got the people.
Do you remember
up there.
this?
No, I have
remember
no
it.
recollection of this at all.
I remember it for sure, but it's one of those crazy ones. Again, there was that in that mystery area, and like I said, we the parts of Amigathon 2018 are missing. Probably should be purposely burned. We asked for people to have them if they would give them. We really don't need them or want them. That would be probably bad. Now, this is a little personal site news. Now, I want to throw this out because I was talking to Bud about this before the show. And this requires some explanation, Bode, this little story here. So, I was nosing around on Facebook. It's been about a month ago. And I noticed a fellow had posted that he was clearing out some software from a users group, Amiga users group in Sacramento, California. You ever been out to California, Bode?
Yeah, I've been a couple times.
Really? Oh yeah. Did you get to go to the museum out there?
No,
one of your relatives
unfortunately,
out there?
my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, yeah, her whole family's from Sacramento.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I haven't been out. I've only been to the SoCal, as they say.
Oh, is that the way they say it?
That's how they say it over there.
Well, I don't have. So anyway, this guy's in Sacramento. He's got just a boatload of software, then they're getting rid of it. All right. Now, for people that listen to the show, they realize that in the U.S., Amiga software is difficult to come by. In fact, of all the places I've been, I've only seen a few Amiga titles ever, and I bought every one I've seen, which relate with discs. I got SimCity and something else, but it was like hardly anything. You never see it on in this area anyway. So I sent the guy an email, and he said, "Listen, because I'm bundling this stuff up and testing it. I want to sell it in bundles of 100 pieces." All right. And so he and they were selling it pretty reasonably, and he assembled a package of it and gave me a price with shipping and everything, and it was going to be expensive. Okay, so I mentioned it on our Discord. God bless the Discord, we love it. And sure enough, a friend of mine out there, one of our Discord buddies, David, happened to live near Sacramento, and so we'd sort of talked, the three of us, and worked out a deal. And so David went and I paid this guy. David went and picked this software up, 100 pieces of Amiga software. All right, a long list, everything from games to music to art to utilities, and all points in between. Kid software, a bunch of crazy stuff. And so what I thought we would do was, now that we've got all this stuff, David's got it. I talked to David. We've agreed that. And in exchange for David, and me and him went in and picked out some stuff we wanted. That seemed fair. And then, but there's still like 90 some pieces of software left to go. So I thought this is a good time to open this up. So what we're doing is this software is going to be available for any of our Patreon members. Now, I announced this on our Discord, 2 days ago, and there's a spreadsheet that's up that you can go look through it. So you can basically put your name on something, claim it. And it occurred to me, and I was talking to Bud about this earlier, that probably a third of the people that are Patreon supporters don't get on our Discord, that's okay. And I thought I don't want to shortchange them. So if you are a Patreon member and would like to have a look at this software to see if there's anything you'd like to get, I have an email address here that you can contact me at if you're not on Discord, or you can sign up for Discord, which we'd love to have that. If you are a Patreon,
almost everybody is signed up for Discord.
Right.
They're just not regularly active.
If you don't check your Discord that much, whatever, check it. You may be interested in grabbing something. If you are not on Discord and you're a Patreon, you can send me an email at aaron@amigospodcast.com. And I will get with you and we'll get you set up on how to check this out. It's sort of our way of saying thank you for your patronage. We appreciate it, and we're trying to give a little bit back. Now, we're going to open the doors on this for about a month. I figure that should give everyone enough time to go through and claim as much as they want. David and me have worked out a deal. So here's the way it'll work. This software, we're just giving it away. All right, a lot of it's boxed. It's in the box. Some of it's not. But most of it's boxed, and a lot of it's been tested. But this is free software, effectively, and I mean originals with the box. If you are willing to pay for the shipping on this, and you provide the shipping and an address, it's yours. That's all. You claim it, it's yours. That's all there is to it. And probably in about a month, we're going to shut the door. We're going to see what got claimed, and once we do that, we'll get all the money in order to ship this stuff to the various places it's going to go. David's going to go above and beyond to help us ship this stuff out. And then whatever's left, we'll probably divvy up some of it, or maybe eBay some of it, or whatever. That's pretty much a long and short of it. So if you're interested in having a look at the software and maybe making a claim on it, again, email address is aaron@amigospodcast.com. And if you're a Patreon, drop me a line or check your Discord. Hey, if you're not a Patreon, you want to get in on it, or at least check out Discord, feel free to join up. It's $1. You're in. Hop on Discord with us if you have a good time, and then maybe you'll find something on there you want.
Absolutely.
There you go.
All right, Aaron. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into this week's game.
Ooh, okay. So this week's game, Woody's World. Now, I always ask you this. I'm going to ask you one more time. Had you heard of this before this week?
Never. Never.
I've been playing a lot of Amiga for a lot of years, and I'd never heard of this game except one time. I remembered that our buddy Lafarius did a show in this way back. Because I remember it distinctly, because I remember thinking, what a dumb name that is, and what the hell is that?
Right.
I never heard of it. And I should have listened to the episode. I didn't. And so lo and behold, it comes up. It's our turn to have a look at this thing. So this came out in '93 on 3 discs. Now, it's interesting, the developers of this, and this is an interesting story, Bode. The developers of this were an outfit called Vision. Okay, now, they've done some work. And listen, this is a diverse portfolio of games, Bode, if I may say. They were responsible for doing the development work on Dragon Slayers and Dragon Slayer Singe's Castle. Okay,
is that the sequel?
Yeah, that was
Singe's
basically they didn't have all of Dragon Slayer in the first. They kind of split it into 2 games.
I see. Okay,
and then added some hideous parts, including this horrible maze. They also did Roadkill, Ultimate Pinball Quest, which I believe we took a look at that on our own and way back. They also did Zombie Apocalypse 2, which I know we looked at. They did Pixie and Dixie.
Okay.
Never a good sign.
Well, those are the 2 mice, right?
Yeah, those games are all horrible, as you'll recall. They also did some games that we actually enjoyed, including Overkill. They did Prime Mover, and they did Cybernetics. Cybernetics was that PD Defender clone that we looked at. And Overkill was that game where that huge ship that comes out and it drops off your little tiny crap.
It's
ship.
a Defender clone. I remember.
No, the Defender clone is Cybernetics. I think Overkill was just sort of a shooty game. And then I remember that we looked at Prime Mover. Was that a racing game, or no? It was a motorcycle game, wasn't it? Prime Mover.
That sounds like it.
I know we looked at that a while back. So anyway,
it's not a Sokoban clone.
No. So they've done some cool. They did a lot of wacky stuff. I'll give them that. The guys that worked on this game, I should mention, it was published by Acid. Now, Acid also did a ton. They published a ton of stuff, but I read somewhere on a chat room, you can take this with a grain of salt, that Acid and Vision shared an office building. So that may have something to do with that. I don't know, but could be not true. Vision also, Vision gained their rep from working on these PD games like Cybernetics. Cybernetics was a real popular game, public domain game, and it did look really good. I remember when we played it. And a lot of people, I read a lot of reviews on this game that said that this was their first commercial effort outside of public domain. But from what I've been able to read, this was like their 6th or 7th commercial effort. So it's not like that. But so they'd been in the game.
I would be real surprised if a game of this caliber would be somebody's first effort.
Yeah. By the way, these guys are out of New Zealand. Auckland, I believe, and so apparently is Acid.
Okay.
So these are guys from New Zealand. So we got people down there. So maybe someday we'll get the inside scoop on some of this stuff. And so anyway, so Woody's World. The guys that worked on this were a fellow named Paul Andrews coded it. The graphics were done by a guy named Rodney Smith, and the musician on this was Blair Supachich. And these guys worked on a lot of the same games together, which were a lot of the games I've already mentioned. The graphics guy also did some of the graphics in Skid Marks, which we will also look at down the line. It's an ECS, OCS game, nothing special there. And if you're interested in this, I just happened to notice that Amiga J released a complete the CD32 complete works of Vision. So you can download one disc and have all the Vision games on it.
Pick this up console style.
That's exactly right. So Woody's World is a platformer. All right, it's a game. Now, did you read the manual for this at all?
Yeah.
Let's just start there. You did.
Yeah.
So you read that backstory.
Yeah, the backstory is
ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
Go ahead.
So there's you've got all these castles, and there's a king, and there's crystals that have been stolen, and you have to investigate to see where the crystals are hidden. And so you embark on this quest. Woody embarks on this quest. I can't remember if there's a princess involved or not.
No, but you skipped over the most ludicrous, most idiotic part. So at the beginning, if you read the manual, Woody's in there with the king. Okay, and the king is sniveling and whining, oh, they stole my crystals, I'm screwed.
Right.
And this is told from the perspective of Woody. And Woody's like, man, this is boring. The king is dull. So all Woody wants to do is participate in the Elf Olympics. They're upcoming
Right,
Elf
I forgot
Olympics.
about the Elf Olympics.
And so he talks about it over and over and over. He's like, man, I can't wait for those Elf Olympics. And so just to shut the king up, he's like, okay, fine, just tell me what the quest is. And the king sort of gives him he starts going into this long description of the quest. He's like, got it. Crystal Palace is okay, fine, whatever. I thought to myself, how was this written?
Right,
like this?
right. Why would you want to make your story boring?
It's like you're playing an obnoxious guy who doesn't care about the king's feelings and is in a hurry to go have an adventure. That's all he cares about.
You talked about Elf Olympics. What was that game that
Elf Bowling.
No, what was that game that you and Brent played on ARG, which was like an Elf Olympics game?
You're talking about that was an arcade game that Brent picked. I remember that episode because Brent was dressed as Zeus. those guys were gnomes or something like that.
Okay. Gnome Olympics.
And no, I wish I could remember the name of that game because I just watched some of that the other day because I remember Brent that's what we do. We like to race our gnomes. But this is a whole different game from that. That was an actual race. Although that may be the sequel. Maybe that's the only one. So you're Woody in this, and your goal is to go out and go through these various palaces and get back the lost crystal. That's the gimmick. Mm-hmm. Now, Elf Olympics and depressing king aside, this is just straight up platformomania. Mm-hmm. Woody is just a normal looking he's in the patented wizard outfit, which is funny because I don't recall him doing any magic or being mentioned as being a wizard.
Well, I think that's just what people wore back then.
They wore Merlin suits.
It's sort of a colorful tunic.
That's a Merlin suit. That's what that is. Because you see the opening screen, he's wearing it. He's like, he's got the Merlin toque. He's got everything.
Merlin wore that tall, pointy hat with the stars.
That's right. But I mean, in the opening, he's got it looks like he's wearing the whole suit.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
So, enough of that. Your first impressions as you booted this thing up.
Very impressive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was expecting a real drag to play this game. One thing that we didn't talk about is that I've started a new video series on the channel.
We should have mentioned that.
The ranking of Amiga platformers, where I will endeavor to play as many platformers as I care to before I get bored. And rank them using what I consider to be an objective scale. Okay, so this isn't like, I like this, I don't like this. It's like, does the game have these features, does it not?
Yeah.
Woody's World is the highest ranking platformer that I've played so far. The thing that grabbed me at first was music and sound effects at the same time on an ECS OCS game. It's a rare breed on an ECS OCS game to have music and sound effects at the same time.
It did come out in '93. They had learned something by then.
Yeah, I don't know. Talk to the Super Frog people about that.
Super Frog had both.
Well, it's got its own problems. But anyway, I was impressed. My first impression was this is better than I thought it would be.
As the thing boots up, music's really good. Then the music slides significantly after that.
Do you think so?
What it reminded me, what it reminded me of a lot? Two things. It reminded me of ad-lib music on the PC.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
Well, I don't, and because this is an Amiga, we don't have to settle for ad-lib. We got the Amiga, all right. And secondly, but some ad-lib music's fine. It's music, right?
It's got this game's got groovy tunes.
The problem with this is the music. It's like elevator music.
Yeah.
I was sitting there and I was listening to this music at work, and I was like, man, what does this remind me of? And what it reminded me of is when you're teeing off in Neo Turf Masters.
Yeah,
but this isn't Neo Turf Masters. This is a timed killer, this is a platformer. You don't want to hear. This is not the time to be laid back and groovy.
I could play the Neo Turf Masters soundtrack to any game I play ever.
No, you need a more driving or quirky soundtrack. I mean, this is a weird soundtrack. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad.
You mean something like bump 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 ba da ba da ba da ba da ba da?
That's not easy to listen to music. That's quirky, fun music. This music's neither quirky nor fun. Listen, I know you don't like Super Frog, but you got to admit this music and it's quirky and fun. You can't deny that.
I don't see any difference between the music in this game and the music in Super Frog, which I think is good.
Are you kidding me? There's a ton of difference. Super Frog's got tons of samples and stuff playing. This has got nothing. This is straight up MIDI action.
Okay.
So right off I didn't like the music. We should get into the more detailed aspects of this game. So it is a platformer, but it's not like just a straight platformer. You can't have that. It's got to be. They had to do some stuff to it. So first thing they did to it is there's a timer. If that's not your bag, and the timer comes into play for reasons I'll get to in a minute. For me, it did. Maybe for you, it didn't. Secondly, this is not one-hit kills. I'll tell you its credit. It gives you a life bar.
A very generous life bar.
That can expand. Now, you would think to yourself, this is great. A life bar. Tremendous. Well, it's tremendous with a but. And the but is this.
It's like me.
No. Tremendous and a but would be you. No. In this game, your life bar is great, but, and this is the sure sign of ham and egg and some programming. When you hit something, there's no second or two of invulnerability, no flashing.
That's a major fault.
No knocking you back.
Yeah.
You could just sit there and whatever's on you can just sit there until you die.
Yeah.
And so that huge life bar can be gone like that.
You're absolutely right.
And that's a no-no. Yeah. So that's a big major flaw. I can't say anything about the controls. I thought it controlled well. Now, Woody, when you stop moving, Woody does slide a bit in the true platformer tradition.
Right.
It got irritating, but it's there, and you know it's there.
It's not excessive. I always think about Mario being the quote-unquote perfect amount of slide. And I would say that it's more egregious than that, but it's not egregious like where you feel like you're on ice.
That's right. So I will say Woody totally, for control-wise, is totally fine. Plus, it supports 2 buttons if you've got and the options there if you want to use it. Now, hilariously, I just used the 1 button because I play this.
How crazy is it? This is an ECS OCS game with 2-button support.
Well, 93. I mean, it's not like the AGA had anything to do with button support.
Yeah, I thought that was a big...
had 2 buttons too, and it was the same thing. So
another example of how AGA is such a disappointment.
AGA has nothing to do with button support.
It has nothing to do with better graphics either, apparently.
I'd hate that to murder you right here in the show. So, anyways, so I give it. So you got your control, right? That's good.
Yeah.
You've got a minimal amount of slide. That's fine. What else do you got in this game? Well, in a lot of platform games, you get through the level, you're out the door, right? Traditionally, that's the way it goes. But for some reason, I was going to ask you if this is something that happens on the consoles, because it seems like it's an Amiga staple. Are these games, these platform games that don't let you leave? And this is another one where you have to go through and get a certain amount of treasure chests before the game will let you leave the level.
Yeah, I think that is, I don't know if it's an Amiga thing, but it's definitely a computer platformer thing more than a console platformer thing.
I don't like it. What about you?
I don't like it either.
In fact, I don't think
I like to be rewarded for reaching the end of the stage.
That's right. And now, what it does do in this is some games you can explore because it's fun. This game, you have no choice. You are exploring that game.
Oh yeah, and it's I would call it a European thing. These are definitely maze-like platformer levels, a la Turrican, a la Lionheart, where you don't have a linear path. You're traveling in both directions.
And I will say that I often got lost. It happened to me I can't tell you how many times the time ran out with me sitting there going, it's very frustrating. It was very frustrating to not be able to find your way out. Well, I mean, you can find your way out, you just can't leave. You've got to find all these treasure chests. That means you have to go all over the place looking.
Right.
So
Super Frog like this too, by the way.
So when there's a lot of Zool, same thing.
Zool, yep.
So when you start this game, there's sort of there is no intro movie.
No, Zool is not that way. Yeah, you don't have to collect stuff in Zool.
Yeah, you do. You have to collect a certain amount of pickups.
No.
Yeah.
I just played Zool the other day.
I know. I watched your video. You have to collect. You can't.
What do you have to collect?
The candy.
It's not the candy. The candy doesn't do anything but
increase
your score. No, it's Kid Chaos that you're thinking of. Where
it's Zool.
Well, Kid
Somebody
Chaos
help me out here in the chat.
Kid Chaos is another example where you've got to crush the flowers to escape.
That's another one. But anyway, This game starts you out with there's no cinematic, there's no explanation about what you're doing, and there's certainly no mention of the Elf Olympics being involved.
Much to the game's detriment.
And so yeah, because that sounds like a better game.
Yeah.
And so what you get is when you start, it's an overworld map. They give you all the palaces laid out.
You don't have any choice though. It's not you can attack them in any order.
Eventually, you get a small choice.
You get branching pathways.
So the map looks good. You start the game. There you go. Now we've mentioned the sound, the control. We've mentioned what your guy does. So in the level, and I played a little bit of every level. All right, and so one of the things that you'll see as a constant are the bad guys are there. You don't get a big variety per level. In the opening levels, for example, there's a beaver or a squirrel or something that you see all over the place.
Yeah, and it's just repeated over and over.
That's
again.
right, and you also will see these birds that have spikes on their heads. Which, by the way, I didn't think you could jump on those, but you can. Which makes me wonder why they have spikes on their heads.
Yeah, there was some enemies in the Addams Family Spectrum game that were like that too. Don't put spikes on enemies if you expect players to jump on.
That's right. Now the enemies in this have like little preset courses that they work. All right, so they don't chase you. They just sort of do their thing.
Meander about, Brian the Lion style.
Yeah, and so you can jump on their heads, and then or later on you can shoot them, which we'll get to that in a minute. The enemies are I didn't see any enemies that I thought were particularly interesting in any way. They don't do anything of any consequence. You have one button to do something with. If you're playing with two buttons, one to jump. So what does your button do? Well, at first it doesn't do nothing. It doesn't speed you up. It doesn't do jack squat.
It's reserved.
So as you go through the game, there are a couple power-ups. Mario, it's not Mario World or anything. I mean, you've got a couple power-ups. So what do you got? You've got a crown. If you get the crown, you're now King Woody. King Woody can jump a little bit higher and is a little bit faster, okay, and can access the King Woody areas. You've got like Prince Woody, I guess, where he gets the scepter. You've seen the scepter, and the scepter, and also these allow you to shoot. We'll get to shooting in a second. The scepter gives you Prince Woody, which he can jump higher, is faster, and has a sort of a sidekicky gimmick.
Super kick.
I guess that's like Shawn Michaels. And then sometimes you'll just see a star. And if you click that, you've got a star. Now, there are two. The other things automatically give you the star power. So what is the star power? Well, star power is you can shoot a star with your button. Now, there are two types of star shots that I saw. There's a star shot that you throw the star and it sort of dies. You know what I'm saying?
It peters out.
It tips over after you throw it. Then there's just a straight on shot. I like the dying one better because you can throw it over corners and stuff, over ledges.
Yeah.
I liked it better. But the star shooting, it helps a lot because jumping in this is it's okay, but it's funny the enemy's not chasing you. It's hard to. You could sort of predict what they're doing, but it's still weird to jump on them. It's for me, I found it difficult.
It's very similar to a lot of platformers, including Super Mario Brothers. I mean, none of the enemies in Super Mario Brothers chase you either. Right.
But I mean, the enemies were just goofy. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not even interesting, but they're there.
Yeah.
So how do you obtain these items? Well, you jump up and hit these blocks. Sound familiar? These blocks have stars on them. You hit them, and so you either get a coin or one of the things we mentioned will pop out, or a 1-up. Now, when this stuff pops up, you don't just get it, or you don't jump up there and get it. It sort of falls off. And I was watching your video and laughing as that stuff would fall away. His boat was chasing it, trying to chase it down.
Yeah.
It's usually not too bad if you're prepared for it.
Right, but I mean, it just seems like it's a needless. You're adding a needless obstacle to the player.
Well, it is amusing that when you need that extra man and you just see it falling away.
Now, I mean, again, to compare this with the most famous platformer of all time, Super Mario Brothers, you hit a mushroom and it does travel away from you, but it doesn't physically fall off the world.
Yeah, this one, because these fall off the screen.
Yeah.
So, also when you hit these little blocks, I can't remember, the blocks have stars or hearts on them. They got something on the blocks.
They've got hearts on them.
That's right. When you hit these things, you can also get coins. So guess what? You also collect coins.
You're collecting
in this
coins.
game.
Yeah, 100 coins, new guy, extra man.
No, I thought coins actually will heal you in this.
Yeah, they heal you and they give you extra lives.
And then they also, if you get a certain amount, you can actually get the star power too with them.
Oh,
That's what I read in the manual.
Okay.
So that's the basis of the game.
Oh yeah, because I think that there is you can't have an Amiga game without some poorly sampled voiceover going, you know, whenever you get any kind of pickup.
Now, the game itself, is it fun? Now, you clearly thought it was quite fun. You gave it a high score.
Well, no. I gave it a high score because according to the objective ranking system, it had all the categories going for it.
Okay, so did you think it was fun?
No.
See, that's what throws me about your scores.
Because, I mean, it's objective. It's not subjective. Fun, you can't objectively measure fun. This game it's exactly like what we were talking about on the Discord, where it was just, you know, the programmers knew platformers were a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay? And they wanted to make something that, you know, they wanted to make a game. The marketing on this, on the front of the box, it says longest platformer on the Amiga or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is not how you really want to market your game. It's like saying, come see my movie. It's the longest movie of all time.
It's funny you should mention that, because if you look in the back of the manual, it's got a list of how long it took them to make it. How many, there's like, I think it said there were 6,000 screens. There are 60 levels. And it took them, I think it was 10 months to make. It was, but they have that listed in the manuals. They're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's not what you should be proud of.
It is a long game.
It is a long game.
As far as a platformer would go.
This, I didn't find, I mean, I turned on cheats pretty early on.
Yeah. What'd you put on? Extra men,
Extra men,
timer.
yep. And so, you know, I found that, you know, it was fair about the checkpoints. You know, you were able to, you know, come back in right where you died.
Yes, that was.
So again, you know, these are things that, objectively speaking, they're good things. This game is just totally devoid of any kind of personality. I mean, your guy, it's not like he's an ugly character. It's not like it's freaking Kid Chaos.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing that makes you interested in him at all.
This game is like, if someone said, okay, we've got one of these old Apogee titles. If you went like maybe 2 steps up, like it's not Commander Keen, it's not Jill of the Jungle, it's somewhere between what I would consider a decent Master System game, in between that and a say a Genesis game. It's totally generic. And that's one of the things, we're talking about the music, and like I said, in a vacuum, the music's fine, but it's not interesting music. It doesn't fit the game.
I just get so tired of just music that I can't stand that whenever I hear anything that's remotely likable, I immediately love it.
Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is it does play some music, so marks for that. The character, like you said, he's certainly not the worst character we've seen in one of these. He's not even close, but he's devoid of personality. If you read that intro in the manual, he fits that profile.
Yeah,
he's this guy. I mean, I felt like him. It's like, well, you know, when are we seeing the Elf Olympics start?
Right.
There's too much of this that's been grifted from Mario. I mean, they really did. They tried to mask it in a certain way by adding some non-Mario stuff like the collectibles and stuff. We should mention that.
You know, another problem that I have with this game is that the power-ups don't come nearly as often enough as they should.
They are. Yeah, you're not going to get them like mushrooms, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things this game has that I did think was sort of interesting was to get into certain hidden areas. You've got 3 types of hidden areas, basically. Oh, actually, you got 4. Let's talk about them. That's important. Because I will say, the guys, and the level design's not bad in this.
No.
It's confusing, but it's not bad. You've got areas that have a question mark on the door. That means you can go in there, and when you go in there, it's just like a coin roundup. You go crazy, grab all the stuff you can. So that's like
it's like Mario.
It's like going down a tube in Mario.
Yeah.
Then you've got areas that only the prince can get in. So you have to have the prince outfit. When you go into those,
they're marked with a special door.
Right, and then there's also the same thing with king.
Yeah.
And when you go into those, like for the king one, for example, you're in the throne room, it says, and you on that one you're jumping over these platforms that are over water. You can die in these rooms, and you're collecting coins. So there's 3. Then you've got, and this game has a lot of this, are like mystery areas that are harder to find. And you find one like right away when you go to the first question mark room. I'm sure you saw this. There's a door there to leave the question mark room. If you jump over it, you literally jump through the
go
wall.
through the wall.
And then there's another room with coins. It's just like your Addams Family. I mean, that kind of same kind of thing. There's another area that you, I think it was like level 4, where you start the game at this little point, but if you go left instead of right, you could literally jump off the screen, jump up 2 invisible levels, and then come across and collect some stuff that's at the top of the screen that you can't get to.
And I like that stuff.
I do.
You know,
I
this
do.
is another thing where on paper, it's like, yeah, it's another checkbox.
This game was, it's funny, I played this game, and because I got so frustrated because of the way it's set up, and I was like, I'm going to kill this game. But, and we've mentioned all the flaws. And having played through some of the levels, I mean, there's nothing, they didn't reinvent the wheel, but I mean, it's solid stuff.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard to, I've heard people call this a hidden gem. I'm not going to call it that. Because number one, it's hidden for a reason. It wasn't good enough to get popular enough to people to praise it. But it's not. It's a solid performer. If you're in the secrets, this has got a lot of good secrets that are hidden well, I think. The level design's fine. The overworld map where you can eventually sort of pick different stuff, that's fine. The enemies suck. We can agree on that. The enemies suck. The main character is boring. And the enemies are just sort of boring.
Yeah.
And the little flourishes, the music between the notes that you look for in a game, they're not here. Like there's
no animated stuff like in Super Frog. There's no even this like any kind of like speech bubble that comes up or anything like that.
There's no parallax scrolling if you're looking for that.
Yeah.
There's none of that. I mean, it's the graphics are serviceable.
I'm glad that there's no parallax scrolling.
Well, I mean, listen, I'm just saying it's a serviceable, but it's not attractive. It's not and the levels are all. Saying there's 6,000 unique screens, I mean, technically that may be true.
I think that you're dead on with the fact that this looks like somewhere in between a Master System and a Genesis game.
And I mean, I'm talking a lackluster Master System title, because the Master System's got some good platformers.
I know that I'm going to make some people upset when I say this.
Oh, God, I know.
But I think that this looks a lot like one of those Alex Kidd games for the Master System.
Well, the characters, and it's more colorful and cartoony than those, but it's I mean, in terms of performance. Listen, Alex Kidd's not a bad series.
I mean, to me, it's always been the equivalent where it's just sort of been kind of a bland, no personality platform.
Well, I think it's got more personality. I mean, like this game, what I would like to see happen. Okay, we talked about here's my dream scenario. You've got the basics here for a quality game because the basics are good control, the ability to play music during the game and have sound effects. You've got decent level design. Here's what I'd like to see happen. Someone go in and reskin this game, okay? I don't usually say this. Reskin it completely and put some time into what you're going to put out there. Because the levels, all the levels are sort of, I mean, every time you go to a new world, everything there's sort of the same looking. And they're not, that doesn't make for a good game. So you get bored with the way it looks. Redo the enemies. They desperately need a redo on the enemies. Add some personality to this guy,
What do you think about the size of your character versus the empty space? I feel like he may just be a hair too small.
Well, I don't know if you can. He's pretty decently sized.
You think so?
The problem is, I mean, and we're looking at this now, but I mean, this level is pretty typical for this game. There is not a lot of. I mean, it's not. This is not.
It's just a lot of empty space.
It's not a super hard game.
No.
What drove me nuts was just getting lost.
Yeah.
Because you have to do stuff like fall in a certain direction. That's where the level design comes in. It's good. I thought the level design from all the levels I tried were pretty good.
And again, it's okay to have a maze/exploration platformer. Don't put a time limit on it. Don't put a time limit on it. Let the player enjoy exploring the level without fear of being penalized.
This is my other gripe. If you're going to remake this game, get rid of the timer and get rid of the collecting.
Yeah.
Because let's face facts, why is there a collection aspect to this? It's the same reason it's in every game. Because the levels aren't long enough.
Yeah, you got to stretch it out.
So, but here's the difference. You've got a game that's got 6,000 individual screens.
You don't have to stretch it out.
You don't need to do that. It's okay to have smallish levels. And these levels are challenging with the usual puzzles and spinning platforms and all that gaga. This shows you how creative these are, and these are in the game. I had a list here of the names of the levels.
Okay.
All right. Lava level, fishy level, checker level, the mines, the outside, the cloud, the boats. I
don't mind that one too much.
The lost castle, and here's one when you get to the bonus round. We'll just call this one bonus round.
Yeah, you'd think after 10,000 hours and 6,000 screens, they might have named these things a little bit more.
Remember that you didn't watch Futurama, but there was an organization there that were neutral. Everything about them was neutral. This is the game they would make. Just a totally bland, flavorless, neutral game that had no pizzazz. This game needs pizzazz. The reviewers were very similar to us, I think, on this one, Boatster. The Lemon folks gave this a 7.32, and I should mention, Boat, and I think I touched on it briefly. There's a pocket of people that think this is a real hidden gem because it was only out in the Amiga. And by the way, you should have released this on the PC. I don't see why. It would seem like it was ready to go.
Oh yeah, I mean it would fit right on the shelf next to Jazz the Jackrabbit.
Well, I think Jazz has way more personality and pizzazz than this.
But I mean, there were tons of games like this.
Also, it was more of a shooting platformer. Amiga Action gave this a 75. Amiga Computing gave it a 92. Amiga Force gave it a 58. And they didn't like it. Amiga Format, I read that. I'll get in a second. Amiga Format gave it an 84. Amiga Power gave it a 70. And CU Amiga 86, and the one gave it a 79. Now, the people at Amiga Force they basically said, look, these guys are known for their public domain stuff, and like this looks like public domain. That's basically what they said. And I was like, that's cool. But if you look at the games that they did that we played, those games were real spiffy looking games. They were demo-y looking. What happened to that? Where's that? I know you hate it, but let's get some sort of upbeat music in there.
Well, I think that
even the water effects and stuff in this are boring.
I think this is the classic example of writing to what you think will sell instead of writing what you think will be a good game.
Well, I can't say that you're wrong there. I think that they saw a market for a kids game, like a platform kids game. And my son might play this, but I mean, again, we always measure this by if in '93. If this game was introduced on a console, how would it do?
It would be.
You wouldn't even release this. It's not. It doesn't look like a console-ready game.
Right.
So as well as it plays, and it does play okay, the flaws are very close to the positives in this. I mean, it's a real middle. Like I'd say, like somewhere in this. It's certainly a C-level game, in my opinion.
We get to get some Discord user reviews. Remember, if you are a member of the Amigos Retro Gaming Discord, you can write your reviews to be read live on the show. Barkbit, still enjoying his vacation over in Sweden.
Oh, man.
He says, this sounds okay, looks decent, but falls flat on gameplay and overall level design. Woody's a dumb-looking guy that slips all over the place in a huge world with very little content.
There you go. Yeah. You called that.
You can collect things and even get different outfits that are supposed to make you more powerful, but after 5 levels, I quit in sheer boredom. Another failed Mario attempt. 3 out of 10.
I meant to ask you this. Did you think the outfits actually helped you that much?
No.
I mean, the star helped.
Well, yeah. I mean, having a projectile is always going to help. But
did you feel like you could jump higher or more faster?
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out exactly what was changing here. I will give the game props though for actually changing his outward appearance.
Yeah, it looks. I do like that. At least they give him something.
Yeah. Graham Vepke says, I don't find this game to be that similar to Mario or Giana Sisters at all. This game reminds me more of the Master System version of Castle of Illusion. It has attempted to add in some Sonic the Hedgehog elements, but sadly there is not really much to do in each level, and there are too many off-screen and through-wall elements. I think that this is an approachable platformer and better than a lot of others. It's just not one I would choose to play often. 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
And Chris Fold says, another terrible Amiga platformer.
He doesn't pull any punches.
The main guy moves around like some kind of goofball, slipping and sliding like the world is covered in banana skins. The attempts at fast Sonic bits fail due to everything being a bit too zoomed in and lacks any finesse to the control system, which makes or breaks a platformer. And based on that, this game is broke. 2 out of 10 just because it annoyed me so much.
Wow.
And finally, the Pixels at Dawn. He says, a relatively competent platformer with charming graphics and satisfactory sound. Decent controls and power-ups and a ton of secrets, but another game fascinated with insta-death spike pits and holes make this game much more frustrating than fun. 5.5 out of 10.
We didn't even mention the spike pits, but I mean, they're there. They're always there.
They're always there.
Several of those guys mentioned the slippiness of it. And I mean, he does slip up, but I didn't find that bad.
No, I mean, there's a sliding scale with slipperiness, and this one didn't affect me. I thought he controlled just fine. I thought that was probably one of the better things about the game.
I think with a little polish and maybe a little do-over on some stuff, you could have had something special there as opposed to what it is, which is mediocre.
Yeah. I do want to mention that if you're watching us live and want to hang out with us tomorrow virtually, we are hosting the next meeting of the Taze Valley Classic Computer Club right here in Amigos Studios, here in Casa El Bote. I'm going to have lots of cameras set up everywhere. We're going to have some folks over. We're going to be playing some arcade games, some pinball, some computer stuff. So if you want to just kind of virtually hang out, if you've ever watched one of Amiga Bill's Amiga party streams, this is going to be a similar deal to that.
It's a lower brow event.
Yeah.
What time are we kicking this thing off tomorrow?
It's going to start at 7 o'clock.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I need to change that on Facebook then.
Yeah, it's going to start at 7 o'clock, and it should be fun. I bought some breadsticks that I'm going to cook in the oven.
Fancy. We every other meeting, this is what our 4th or 5th meeting both. Our previous meetings were at my kid's dojo. But the dojo recently moved to a bigger, better building. Unfortunately, it's all pads. There's no entryway there, and so there's nowhere to set up.
Yeah.
So we had to bravely decide to take over the reins. Good job, Boat.
Well, thank you. As far as the Patreon supporter, the supporter song from last week, Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
Only one person
wrote in anyone got
with the response.
Did he get it right?
He got it right.
That is a miracle.
I'm going to read it. It says, well, this is the message. He says, well, it took me a few listens, but tell Aaron to bring out his grand personal salute, because you promised a grand personal salute if anyone got this, because I'm pretty sure I got it right. Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer.
Oh, my gosh. And who is this genius?
Barkbit.
Barkbit. That's my Benny Hill right there to you, sir. Well done.
So, yeah. Only one to get it right, Barkbit. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Let me tell you something, Barkbit. You're not a scholar because you sat and listened to that over and over to figure that out. So I'll give you the salute. I'll give you the credit, but I pity you, and I think you're also out of your mind. There you go.
Well, if you know the answer to this week's supporter challenge, you can send me an email at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will read your name live on the air. And if you do want to support the show, either through Patreon or through PayPal, you can visit us at everythingamiga.com/support. So, here we go.
What is that?
It's Mindspace. Deckard Threepwood, Gary Heather Free Lunch, Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobsterminator, Craig Mel, Club McClellan, 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. Counting Virtual Sheep, Bernard Quinn, Retro Man Cave, Tim True, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Eder, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nims, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Sean Zoe, Darren Lomax, Colin 419, Barkbit, Roland Burke, Andrew Monster the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf Gallant, Alan Kebab, Checote, Level Lord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky Rocher, Creepy Dead Boy, Biggie CTC, The Slow Norris, Tiffalon, Swargard, Martinson, and then Heron, Windows 75, Christopher Assel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Falls, Dreamcatcher, Lloyd Shuru, Graham Vebke, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Return Daddy's Gary Hackett, C. Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Dawkins House, Tips for the Grave, Josh Dad, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, T.H.E., Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Humberstad, Daniel Bingstud, Brutal Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason's Runs, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjolbjorn Barman.
My God. I think you had multiple personalities singing several different tunes right there.
Well,
You were really going up there for those.
I have to. I mean, I owe it. I owe it to all of you.
I never knew you were soprano.
You don't know a lot of things.
Your
about
range is unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Aaron, next week, we're going to shift gears, get out of the platforming world. We're going to delve deep into the deepest of strategy games. We're going to talk about Battle Isles.
Oh, I've heard of this. Yes, I was tipped off on this one.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, so we hope to see you. We want to thank all the fine folks over in the YouTube chat. We got Pixels at Dawn, Barkbit, Mr. Guga, Picard 2005, Threepwoods Thrifts, Necronoms in the house, Duncan Styles. So thank you guys, Ken Smith. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you next week. Until then, adios.
That was the dirt words there.
You mean the best?
No, I don't mean that.
How can you not mean that?
I've got a guess, but it literally is a guess. I'll tell you. I'll talk to you off camera.
Okay.
Horrible.
All right. So let's go.
No, it should not. 3-footer. You lost your mind.
Let's go to the Spectrum Non. I've gone to the wrong thing here. Our Sinclair is not going to be multicam.
Did you turn off the multicam part of the way through that one? I couldn't tell.
Well, just when we went
I never
to
looked at the screen here.
When we went to the other thing, the stuff happened. So let me just take that out and put this in.
You know, we should have mentioned something I forgot just now.
What's that?
Dadgummit. That Woody's World. When this thing was released, it was £25, 99p.
Yeah, full price.
It was more than they. From what I read, at that point, Amiga games are going for like £15.99 or something like that.
No,
Yeah,
by '93 they were more than
that's
that.
what I was right.
Maybe budget titles, your Lionhearts. Yeah.
People were appalled at the price. I read that over and over.
Well,
like,
they have a right to be appalled at the price for sure.
What? How much was it? 26p of a pound over here at that point.
It's like,
is that
$49.99?
No, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
PC games are always cheaper than console games.
There's a lot of discipline. I mean, when I think about all the games, I didn't buy a lot of games at full price, but when I bought a game at full price and it was awful, there's no worse feeling.
I don't like paying full price for anything.
That's true.
Due to my cheapery.
Let's see. Oops.
You know, there's an Atari port of this.
Of Lords of Chaos?
Yeah, that's
Oh my gosh,
that's what
wow.
my documentos say.
That's crazy.
Man, I'm sure glad I printed these off. These are coming awful handy.
What you never see anymore is those Mentos commercials. When you said documentos, I started thinking about that.
That's what just popped into your head. When I said that.
Do what?
See, Boss Man misses your guitar.
Boss Man, we've missed seeing you around. Where have you been? I was going to send you a message. I thought something had happened.
The boss comes and goes as he wishes.
That's true.
He doesn't set his clock on your time schedule. He's like Gandalf. He arrives precisely when he's meant to.
Let's see.
Woof. Get this. Yeah, I'll just save it. That's interesting, though.
Yeah, we're going to be back to our normal camera situation next week.
Why? You didn't like the zoomy coolness?
Well, it's just that if I had 3 good cameras, but these two lesser cameras are.
You know what you need? Another one of my favorite boat moments, the drunken episode. But you had your little magical doodad sitting in front of you. If you had that thing, and you could just be sitting there going like, you could literally be like the news director, boop, 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 camera 2, camera 3.
Yeah, well,
and we need little lights to come on over, so I know where to look.
Well, you do.
Oh, the little lights come on
Yeah,
off.
the little light comes on to show you where to look. Pretty neat.
Yeah, very good.
But if I had 3 different webcams from 3 different brands, it would be
But does it have to be different brands?
Yeah, because OBS just, well, I mean, it wouldn't have to be different brands if I had just 3 different webcams. Like, this is a 920, that's a 720. If I had like a...
What's that, like a 320?
It's another 720. It's got the cool controller that's got the joystick that goes around.
You know, for our show, it's nothing but 4K, right across the board. Make it happen, Boat.
Okay.
You don't need no boat. You need to go out and
You can make it happen. Yes.
Nice. I don't know what that song is either.
It's Chicago.
It is?
Yeah.
Man. No wonder Peter Steer quit.
No, he wrote that song.
I guess show me, don't it?
Actually, that might be a lie. I don't know. My Chicago knowledge doesn't run deep. It's sort of a shallow.
Yeah. I noticed that with a lot of your knowledge. It's funny how that works. I thought I was the only one. I'm ready.
All right, hold on a second.
Go out and buy Sinclair. What are you waiting for?
All right.
They're dirt cheap over there.
Are we good? No, it's cutting into your head.
Oh!
There we go.
I hate when that happens.
All right, here we go.
That's it. Pixels just nailed it. Put scan lines in and tell them it's era specific.
That's true. You can do it. What do you think about... Well, we'll talk about that later.
I'm afraid.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Lords of Chaos.
Oh, boy.
Let me ask you a D&D question,
Please.
Aaron. When you choose your character, where do you fall on the chaos spectrum? Are you chaotic neutral?
Chaotic neutral is actually my favorite alignment.
I figured.
I really do. I like chaotic good.
Because you can do whatever you want when you're chaotic neutral.
Well, you've got to be careful, okay? Because, and also I like true neutral, but true neutral is a tough bag because you have to act neutral.
Right.
You know, depends if your DM's going to really enforce these things. Especially, it makes a lot of sense if you're a cleric or playing the religious side of your character. But I like chaotic neutral. Now, chaotic good I can tolerate. Chaotic neutral is more fun because I like to do some stuff that's occasionally quite evil, but not super evil. But like, will I screw over one of my party members? Oh, yeah. Will I shove the cleric in front of the dragon while I'm hightailing out the door? You betcha.
Why do you think that D&D even includes... What do you call this even category? Deportment?
Why does it include the various alignments?
Alignment, yeah. Why do you even think they put that in there?
Well, it's a guideline for the religious purposes in the game. So there's that. Some things, some magic items or spells or whatnot are based on your alignment. You could almost get rid of it if your players are going to be playing their characters the way they should. But it's a guideline to keep people honest. I guess also it tells people you don't normally reveal your alignment to your buddies, you know, and really no one walks up. I don't walk up to you, Boat, and say like, "Hey, Boat, I'm chaotic good. How about you?" Because that people be like, "What the hell?"
Right.
But you could glean that from the way I do things, you know.
So you're not supposed to reveal your alignment. It's not public knowledge.
You don't have to. I never ever tell anybody my alignment.
Right. Which leads me to, again, why have it at all?
Because it's a good guideline, especially for, you know, like I said, there are rule reasons to do it. Now, here's my question. If you were to pick an alignment for yourself in real life, what would it be?
Oh, definitely chaotic neutral.
You?
I mean, are you asking me what I am in real life or what I would like to be?
No, what are you in real life?
Oh, I'm definitely chaotic neutral.
You don't think you're a good alignment?
No.
You're very religious and you're very nice.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think I'm very nice.
You're pretty nice.
I don't think I'm particularly religious. Not as religious as I'd like to be.
Didn't you work for the church for like a billion years?
Yeah, but I mean...
That's religious, pal.
I have the capacity to do good, but when given the choice, much of the time I choose the wrong rather than the good that I should do. So I would like to be paladin when in fact I am scoundrel.
It's funny. So your alignment would be more evil than my alignment, because I was always consider myself sort of chaotic good or neutral good.
You are definitely a chaotic good guy.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where do you stand on games that allow you to choose whether you want to be, like, for example, like Mass Effect, where you can choose to be a good guy, or choose to be a bad guy.
I like them. I played Star Wars Galaxies. Is that what it is? The online one?
Is that the one where you get all kinds of scars and stuff? The worse you are, or you become like Darth Maul?
I don't know. It's not the. It was not the one that got canceled. It's the next one, whatever that was. And you could pick the light side or the dark side. I almost always play characters that aren't super evil, because I feel bad when I do super evil stuff. I mean, sometimes you want to gut a sucker. It's funny because I can.
What about Walker?
I can play Carmageddon or Walker and just mow down fields of people and just be like, whoa. But if there's a storyline with a cinematic involved and you're gutting a kid or something, I can't do it.
You know what I wish? I wish that they would make a game, instead of letting you choose whether you want to be good or want to be bad, because those choices, at least in my experience, are always so black and white. It's like, punch the kid or hug the kid.
Yeah.
I wish that they just make a game straight up where you're just the bad guy.
Well,
because they could write a better story that way.
And they can shade it. Games like that.
Like TIE Fighter or something like that.
That's right. That's right. We played a couple weeks ago on ARG. We did a game called Gabriel Knight 2 Sends the it was Gabriel Knight 2 Sins of the Father, and it was I think I mentioned on here, it was a game that was based on live film. And the characters in it were Gabriel Knight, and you had Grace. You played them both, you alternating in chapters. And in the first 2 chapters of each character, they were both absolute jerks. Grace in particular was the most. Brent hated the game because of that. Right. Her. In some ways, though, it was amusing to be the jerk character. Like, Grace comes in like a house of fire. She's bad-mouthing everybody. She's throwing fits and raising hell. And Gabriel Knight's real twisty and sneaky. He screws people over that were trying to help him.
Is his name actually Gabriel Knight?
That's right.
Like first name Gabriel, last name Knight.
That's right. Yeah. Why?
It's related to Chuck Knight?
Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight.
That's it. I don't know who Chuck Knight is.
I don't either.
That's a much less cool sounding name.
Thinking of Chuck
But anyway,
Lee.
so it was pretty fun to play someone who was. I mean, it's weird to be in the mold where you're playing a sneaky jerk. I kind of liked it,
Yeah, I like games where you have to play on the bad side, and you have to do stuff like okay, for example, remember that game that was real popular, that indie game, Passport Please? Do you remember that?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I've not played it.
Where it's like you have to make all these really tough decisions about whether you let people in or not, and all that stuff. Like, you're not actually doing evil stuff, like you're not gutting a kid, but it's making you make choices that it forces you to make these less than ideal choices. I wish there were more games like that.
It's a good thing about computer games and role playing. Like, you can explore parts of your own personality that you normally would be untouched.
Yeah.
So
just wait till our next role playing game. I've got a character.
God! Hey, I'm not running it, so go crazy, pal.
Well, let's talk about this game, Lords of Chaos.
Now, before we get into this, I love the Spectrum. And one of the reasons I love it so much is because it introduced me to one of my favorite games, and a game that me and my son have bonded over, which was Chaos. That's a great game. It's such a great game. And we play it emulated, we play it on my phone. And so when I found out we were doing this, we were both very excited, me and my son. And so we were so excited that I went and I found the manual and printed out the manual right here, because I've been using it. Because you need the manual for this thing. And of course, the same people were sort of responsible for this one. We should go into this. This again, of course, is Lords of Chaos, released in 1990, boat, and published by Blade Software. The fellows that put this together were out of an outfit called Target Games Limited. They were responsible for Laser Squad, Lords of Chaos, a couple other games. The fellow that did this was a guy named Julian Gollop. He was responsible for those games, plus Battle Cars, of course, Chaos, the original, Nebula, and a few other games.
Well, you can't forget the big game that he's famous for.
Yeah.
Didn't he do
Chaos.
XCOM?
Not on the Sinclair.
Oh, okay. but he was the guy behind XCOM, right? I'm not crazy, right?
No, he peaked with Chaos, as far as I'm concerned. And I think this is his brother Nick, who also worked on this, and a fellow named Sean G. McClure, which I think I'm pretty sure he did the load screen picture on this, which is just nice. This was out for the 48K and is 4 players, which is a couple shorter than the the original. I believe you could play up to 8 on Chaos. I believe it was at least 6. This originally sold for £10, and if you wanted the disc version, which is the one I played, I might add, it was a £15.
I played the cassette version.
Well, I just played the one that had the disc. It doesn't matter. I played it on emulator. So, getting back to Chaos, if you remember when we looked at that, that's been about a couple months ago, I guess. Chaos was a very basic game in some ways, but a very advanced game in others. You play a wizard. You're trying to kill other wizards. Depending on how many people you're playing, you could have 1 or you could have, 6. So it's a ton of wizards. And your goal is to go out and murder them with your spells. And you would summon creatures, and you would try to do whatever you could to trap them or whatever and kill them. It's a basic game, but it was a pretty advanced level of strategy to try to figure out what to do, which characters you should pick. Another aspect of it I liked is you could summon stuff without having the power to summon it. It's just an illusion. The other characters could try to detect whether you were lying or not effectively. It was a great game. Simple, but brilliant.
Yeah, it's a one sort of, there's no scrolling. It's like a chessboard.
That's right. Now, and we've also played the updated version that's on Steam, which it's fun too. And what they did with that, it's sort of, now that I've played this, it's sort of a hybrid of these two games.
Okay.
Which I'll get to that later. So this game comes around, and I have to admit, when I loaded it up, I just sat there because that's one of the reasons I had to print the book. Because when this thing loads up, it doesn't really start you off at a game. It starts you off at a screen where you could load stuff, and I didn't know what to do. And so luckily, you had already done your playthrough, and I went and watched you do it. But you basically have to type in, you have to load a scenario, or you can create a wizard, or you can create a scenario.
And again, if I hadn't had the manual, I would have been totally lost because the game gives you no prompts to what to do.
Oh yeah, you've got to have the manual, and again, it's a pretty beefy manual for a
especially
ZX
when you
game.
print it out at 25-point font.
That's the way the PDF was, pal. I didn't have to do with that. So what you end up having to do is you have to load. You can load one of the 3 scenarios that come with it. You can also make yourself a wizard. Now, at first I didn't do this. Did you ever do it?
I was unable to. The game, I think it might have been because I was playing the cassette version or something, but I couldn't get any of my custom wizards to load. So I had to go with rando wizard.
Well, custom wizards are no great shakes. Okay, in the other game you could pick the kind of your icon. You can pick the color, and that's pretty much the extent of then this one, and then you can pick your name. And this one, you can pick your name. You can pick your spells to a certain degree, and then but there's not much to it. I will admit, I did not even attempt to screw with the scenario editor. I was not going to go down that road. I was like, it was crazy. So you load 1, 2, or 3 to load up one of these scenarios. Just a brief, because we've got to go into this plot a little bit. Did you read the plot for this? I'm not going to read this whole tome.
I will be the first to admit that I scrolled rapidly down through the plot section.
This is sort of important, so I'll just give it a quick read.
Okay.
So, in this world, you've got a bunch of mages.
Okay.
And everything was cool. But then something weird happened, and mana, which is what you use to cast your spells, the energy that surrounds us all, like the force, that you just, it started ramping up. And so it was too much. It was causing weird stuff to happen. It was causing weird monsters to come out and swamps to form and wars to happen.
Oh my gosh.
And so much mana built up that it literally blew the world apart. Okay? Now the mages...
Wait a minute. It blew the world apart?
Oh yeah, I'm getting to it.
Okay.
So... literally, it caused violent earthquakes and stuff, and so much pressure happened, the world shattered, and this is a quote, and split into many fragments, which rapidly formed into self-contained worlds. Okay, now the wizards in this game suspected that the reason this happened was because there was energy flowing through these portals. Okay, so
it's like Oblivion.
I played Oblivion, but I didn't pay attention to the plot. So when this happened, the wizards were the only ones left, and they kept these little fragments together with all that because they had a bunch of mana, and they basically.
What does mana look like?
Mana.
How does it manifest itself?
There it is. It's just an unseen energy. I don't know.
Okay, how did the
Do I
wizards
look like
have it?
Merlin? Am I dressed like Woody? I don't know what the heck's
I
going on.
wish you were. I've got a
Me
Halloween
too.
costume in mind for you.
You've got one of those hats.
Yeah,
don't
I
you?
do.
So you should have worn that. So at this point, the wizards are like, well, the world blew up. We all own these little fragments. Screw it. Let's fight.
Let's fight.
Because someone's gonna take all the mana. You know, that's basically what they wanted to do. And also they're gonna mess with these portals. These portals can apparently move you back and forth through time and space.
Okay.
All right. And that's where all this. And so that's basically the background of this game. So long story short, you could cut all that out. You're a wizard. See that other wizard? You don't like him. Go give him the wizard business. That's right. And so you're at it now. Several aspects of this game are chaos-like, and I will admit, it's taken me a good while to come to grips with what I know now, because I put a lot of time in this. My kid and me sat down and played it 2 or 3 times, and he doesn't like it. And he gave up on it, so he stopped playing with me on this one, and so I had to go out on my own. So you start out in your wizard house, and of course, you pick how many wizards you want to play. Let's just say you pick 2. And you're in your wizard house, and presumably the guy you're fighting is somewhere out there in his wizard house. And if you're in this sort of a graphical world that it reminded me of and I think someone even said this, not like they got a dead one. It reminded me sort of a more colorful version of the old Ultimas.
Oh yeah, not even that old. I mean, even Ultima 4 still looked like this.
Right, but you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Is that what you got?
Yeah,
yeah. And so you move, and it's all in grids, and you've got your wizard there. So
the only thing you don't have is the guys marking time.
Yeah, these guys don't move. Yeah. And so the object of the game, just to boil it down, is to find the other wizard and kill them. Okay, now there are 3 active participants in play, if you're playing with just 2 wizards. It's you, the other wizard, and inhabitants of this world, these monsters that come out, random monsters. If you die from the other wizard, you lose. If you get killed by a random monster, you lose. If you kill the other wizard, you win. That's all there is to it. And the random monsters act independently on their own. They've got their own turn. You don't know what they're doing. This is a turn-based game. You start off by you can move. You can summon creatures. This game, unlike the original Chaos, well, there are many things different. For one thing, it's a huge scrolling world as opposed to one big block. Another thing that's different is you can pick up items, and you need to pick them up because certain spells will require you to retrieve spell components and then take all the stuff and put it in a pot, mix that stuff up. Also, certain creatures that you have to summon them with certain types of points that you have to manufacture, like dragons. So you have to take that stuff and put it in the pot, mix it up, and so you don't just cast whatever you want. You can't go crazy. You have a limited amount of movement, a limited amount of mana, limited amount of endurance.
And this is really where you see the roots of UFO Enemy Unknown starting to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Because the whole your action points, your movement points, all these things Julian would further develop in his later games.
Yeah. Now, tell me what your initial experience is playing this. I'm assuming that video was you playing it for the first time right now.
I could immediately tell that I wasn't going to like it because to me, a strategy game is best played when you can see all the pieces at once. I have a hard time trying to wrap my head around stuff happening off screen and preparing myself for that. Plus the fact that you've got to move all your guys around. Plus, I mean, there are too many components in this game to make this game fun for me. Like, for example, if you started out having a set amount of monsters that you just were controlling, and it becomes like UFO or something like Final Fantasy Tactics, any of the Tactics Ogre games, things like that, okay, that's your game right there. In this game, not only do you have to manage all that, but you also have to manage all your spells, you have to manage crafting components, you have to manage picking up items, you have to negotiate this world, and it became overwhelming almost immediately for me.
It is an old game, and so bearing that in mind, there are certain if this game was just you run around and go try to kill the other wizard, even if it's turn-based, I could be down with that. What makes this game difficult, and Chaos had this same problem, but it was a smaller game and it was less of an issue. This game requires you to do a lot of menu writing. You are.
Yeah, you're constantly going off. You're leaving you're leaving the action, and now luckily you don't actually, the way that the board is set up, and we didn't really mention this, is that the screen is set up to where about 2/3 of the screen is the map, and then 1/3 of the screen on the right is your inventory and all of your menu commands.
Right.
The menu commands are very
goofy.
Yeah, they're goofy. For example, if you want to move your character, you'd think that right at the top, one of the commands would just be move, but it's not. You have to select your character, you have to go into another menu. It's like 3 menus down to move. And then you don't actually move your character with the stick or with the thing. You actually have to point even though your character can only move 1 block at a time, you still have to select that block and your character moves to the block.
Yeah, there are several parts of this game that are overly taxing for no good reason.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. You want to open a door. That should just happen. You shouldn't have to go up to it and do anything.
Right.
And this, you have to walk up to the door. Then you have to hit the use button. Then you have to move the use arrow to the door. Then you have to click on the door to open the door. Then you have to go back to your movement, and then you move through the door. That's too much.
Yeah.
Too many commands. This thing is not a game. I sit down and I'll watch some of your playthrough, and I sat down. I'm like, well, heck, I play Chaos all the time, and playing Chaos helps, by the way.
Sure.
Just because you have a general idea of what's going on, but you sit down to play this, and it's crazy. You've got commands like you've got a G summon, an A summon. Well, if you don't know that those are ground and air, you've got no idea what's going on. You've got a ton of spells you can go through, but you can't cast them all. You don't understand why you can't cast some. And like again, this is one game you got to read the manual, read the heck out of it, to get an idea of what's going on. Now, I'm not here to bury this game. In fact, to some extent, I'm here to praise it to a certain degree. They tried to go into a different area here, and what they tried to do was take the basic fundamentals of Chaos, implement them on a scrolling large world map in a role-playing way. And what I mean by that is, once you make your wizard and you assign him points, which you do that, you have a certain amount of points you can assign to his various abilities, defense, mana, stuff like that. You've got stamina, and once you make him and you play through the scenarios, you will level up. You get experience points. Did you even know that? I don't know if you even knew that.
Yeah, and the way that you have to do this is real funky, because you actually have to save the game, quit the game, and then restart the game. And when you restart the game, you'll be a level up.
I had to read the docs for that too. I was
Yeah.
like, man, this is crazy. And so you advance your character, so he'll be better the next time you play.
Yeah.
So what they were trying to do here was expand that into something more like exactly a UFO, which is it's more role playing than this. This shipped with 3 scenarios, okay, which is I think probably way too few. But not played the advanced scenarios. I don't know how adept they are, but that didn't seem like very many. So again, we mentioned that this game was based around the idea that portals had caused less mana to come out. So the three scenarios are called Portal Arrives, and that's the turn where a portal comes. Then there's one called Portal Remains, and then the last one is Treasure. And these are 1, 2, and 3. Now, they released an expansion for this thing. I think I've got it stuck in here, and I think it added a couple more. Here are the scenarios. They're formal names. You've got Scenario 1, the Many-Colored Land. Scenario 2, Slayer's Dungeon. And Scenario 3, Ragaril's Domain. That's a tough one to say. And there was an expansion. I don't know if I got the name of the expansion, but it added a couple more levels. And did you try the expansion?
No, I didn't. I saw it on the TOSAC, but I didn't try it out.
Okay, yeah. The expansion adds 2 further scenarios: Islands of Iris and Tombs of the Undead.
Okay.
And one of those is only a single player.
It would be kind of a disappointment if it was just Tombs of the Dead. There wouldn't be too much to do.
Tombs of the Dead, just walk around and you put flowers down. You know, I would love to give a detailed interpretation of how I thought the rules flowed and the balancing and stuff, but I can't. It took me a long time to even come close to thinking I had any sort of grasp on this, I'll be honest with you. And it's going to require me to play more to tell you. I mean, I'm assuming it's probably, since I played the first one so much, this guy has a good way of doing a pretty balanced game.
Here's the thing. This game came out in 1990.
Yeah.
This is a very, very primitive game to have been released in 1990. It's almost as if this game could have come out in 1985. I mean, I realize that we're still dealing with the Spectrum here, and maybe I know this game got an Amiga port. Maybe the Amiga port is different, but things like hit points, you know, like I would like when I'm doing battle with an enemy, I would like to know how effective my creatures are against this particular enemy. So when I go to fight another enemy, maybe I'll cast a different spell.
Well, that's the way Chaos was too, though. It
but Chaos again. Chaos came out in 1984. You know, there was a different time.
It is amazing that this was so many years later.
And this game is trying to be a role-playing game. This game is not trying to be. Chaos is like a board game.
And really, this isn't really much of a role-playing game.
No,
they added some stuff to it, but I mean,
it's trying to be that way, though.
I mean, this is Ultima's a role-playing game.
With the items, you know, with the items and the leveling and the large, expansive world. I mean, they're trying to go in that direction.
I mean, the NPCs, the actual. The flesh, the actual soul of the world isn't there.
Oh, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying
but I mean, they were going that direction, and like you said, sort of an evolution up the pike there. This did get. You mentioned that the ports that this thing had. I was actually surprised to hear what all this came out on. So, you've got an Amstrad version, and you've got an Atari ST version, and a C64 version, and an Amiga version. And they'd planned a PC version of this as well. So, you know, it's kind of neat. Now, get this, Boatster. I read this, and I thought this was kind of funny. The prices for the different versions. I hate to dwell on this, but it amused me. So, the 8-bit versions that were released in 90, they were priced, the Spectrum tape, the Spectrum C64 and Amstrad tape, £10.
Okay.
You're in, okay? If you want the Atari disc, all right, £20.
Okay.
And if you want the Amiga disc, you're in for £25. That seems expensive.
It seems very expensive.
You know, for that. Now, so
who knows though? Maybe the Amiga version is like. It's like you know, virtual reality. Like everything's polygonal and awesome.
And the disc version of this was £15 for the Spectrum. Mm-hmm. So you know that's pretty expensive, I think, for a Spectrum game.
I mean, I don't know what the normal disc prices were for Spectrum.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Now, so I don't hate this game. I think there's something here. But if you're gonna twist my arm, Chaos gives me all the stuff that this game gives me, but in a simpler way. And both of them modernized are a good idea. If you clean this up with some modern menuing and stuff, you probably got something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. It makes me now want to play XCOM, and I never ever thought I'd say that. So maybe now I can get into it since I played these. So the reception on these games. Now this might have surprised you, Boat. It surprised me. Your Sinclair in 1990. Gave this a 90%. Crash gave it an 80%. And this game won the award for Best Adventure Game of the Year in Crash. That was with an 80%. So it was either a bad year for adventure games or the readers liked it a lot more than the editors did. Mm-hmm. And this was also voted 21st best Sinclair game of all time in the top 100 Your Sinclair reader poll.
Wow.
So that's pretty good.
High praise indeed.
I should also mention that the World of Spectrum gave this an 8.36 with 300 plus votes.
Yeah, so it's well liked. It's
well liked. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I just need more time. Oh, I should also mention I found this on eBay. You can get it for $11.
Okay.
That's the disc, one disc, $11. So hey, the disc held its value pretty good.
That's true. That's true. Well, you weren't the only one that didn't have a lot of time with this game this week because we got no Discord reviews.
Oh, I had a lot of time with it. I just didn't have a lot of success.
Well,
that's the difference.
We had no Discord reviews.
That's the first time that's probably ever happened.
No one wanted to tackle the Lords of Chaos.
It's intimidating the way it starts. We've talked about bad menu systems.
Yeah.
This one comes up, it's like, good luck. Like, could they not at least give you a hint as to what you need to type in there without the instructions?
Right.
You know, that
whatever happened to just press start, you know.
Hey.
That's all you need.
I don't know what to tell you on that one.
Well, Aaron, I will tell you this. Our Sinclair is recorded live every Friday night. Except when it's not. Next week we won't be live.
Next week, for example. It always amuses me when you say that.
And you're free to join us in the YouTube chat, just like Picard 2005, Pixels at Dawn, Edvin Helland, Necronom, Freybis Cyrille, and Free
exotic.
Lunch. So thank you guys for joining us.
You could shout out what you think of us, and you could also tell us when we're wrong about the game.
That's right.
We've been lucky. I think so far this week we're okay.
Yeah. I do also want to thank our Patreon supporters. You can support the show at patreon.com/OurSinclair. I want to thank Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbo Not, Graham W. Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Folds, Paul Harrington, and Christopher Hassel. Thank you so much.
Ever expanding.
For supporting the show. Absolutely. Next week, Aaron, we're going back to the races.
Oh, boy.
Miami Cobra GT.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, think about that.
I love everything in that.
All three of those words make you think of fast cars.
That's
Miami,
right.
Cobra, and GT.
I love it. I love that.
All right, well, until then, keep on playing that Specky. Rewind tape.
And press play.
All right.
That was a tough game to wrap your head around, Boat.
Well,
I mean, I played this a lot.
I knew from pretty early on that it was going to be beyond me. Like, I just don't have the kind of mind that can juggle all that stuff.
It's not beyond you. It's just, but you have to, listen, I've played this game a bunch, and I still screwed up all the time just moving and stuff.
The menu, yeah.
There is no easy way to get used to it.
Well, a lot of times
Chaos is similar, but I'm used to it now.
A lot of times I'd have the wrong character selected, and I'd try and move, and bad things would happen, and so, but I'm looking forward to Miami Cobra GT.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
That other game, Battle Isle, I know, I fired that up the other day.
Got your work cut out for you, eh?
Well, let's just say I'm glad we're doing an easy driving game. I'll tell you that right now.
All right, guys. We'll see you later.
Hey, come by tomorrow night for some computer club action.
Absolutely. See you later. Adios.
Muchachos.